Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. It's a rainy Saturday, and just hanging out at home. And I just wanted to, talk about Maxamet. I have here the Spyderco Para 3 in Maxamet steel, and I did switch it out. I switched out the gray G10 handle scales with the Flytanium titanium scales, and then switched out the screws with the BladesWeLove titanium screws. And I feel like it just really makes a knife pop, but yeah, anyways, Maxamet. I want to give you guys just like an everyday kind of a casual explanation of Maxamet and what's been my experience. So I'm not going to go too far into like the metallurgical aspects of Maxamet and the chemistry of steels and all that. I just want to kind of help folks to understand what Maxamet is, and like I said, how my experience as a knife nut and as an everyday user has been. So with that being said, Maxamet's interesting, because it's considered what you call a super hard high speed steel. So what do I mean by that? So super hard, self-explanatory, means it's very, 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 very hard, and it has a great ability to resist deformation. And typically this hardness is measured by the Rockwell C scale. There's other ways to measure hardness, but the most, I guess, popular way is the Rockwell C test, and you'll see that abbreviated as RC. So whereas a lot of popular steels like S35VN, is dinged at about, I'll say 57 to 59 Rockwell. Maxamet is dinged at about 67 to 69, or it could even go as high as 70 Rockwell hardness. And so just by that, you could tell it's way, way, way harder than a lot of steels out there. Moving on, when I say high speed, because when I first heard the term high speed, I thought it was like a tactical term, because I think I've heard it being explained when people are talking about hinder knives or strider knives, they talk it as they say high speed, low drag. So I thought it was like a tactical term, but in doing my research, I found that high speed actually means the ability to cut materials faster than traditional high carbon steels used in cutting tools. And so really, what it means is that it can cut materials faster, and it also resists softening at high temperatures. So you can imagine when it's being used to cut a lot of materials very fast, you have to make sure that the edge is going to stay sharp for a long time, and that it's going to stay sharp under high temperatures due to friction and things like that. So that's what it means when I say super hard and high speed. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps you to understand that a little bit better. Now moving on, I want to talk about steel factors, and there's a lot of factors out there, but I want to focus on 4, and I got this from Blade HQ, and I feel like these 4 factors will better inform you as an everyday, just normal user. So the first factor is edge retention, and that's really the ability for the steel to hold an edge, right? And I'm gonna make it synonymous with hardness. Some people might argue it's different. Some people are gonna say the same. For the sake of argument, I'm gonna just say edge retention is the hardness or the ability to hold an edge or sharpness during use. The next factor is toughness, and really this is the ability to resist chips or catastrophic damage when it's subjected to force. Force meaning beating, twisting, impact, torsion, stuff like that. The third factor is corrosion resistance, and this is the ability to resist rust and corrosion. Let's say you're in a salty kind of a wet environment. If a steel has a high carbon content, typically it'll be more prone to rust and patinaing and stuff like that. And then the last factor is the ease of sharpening, and that's really goes to how easy it is to sharpen the steel. Right? So with that being said, these are the four factors I kind of want to bring into the picture as I'm talking about Maxamet. But these factors, these factors all kind of affect one another, and they all have trade-offs, right? So the example that I came up with is that, well, let me go back real quick. A lot of times when we talk about like, edge retention or hardness, some people think, oh, like high hardness is automatically equates to like high like toughness, and that's not necessarily true. And the example that I came up with, and I know it's gonna be a flawed example, but just kind of like roll with me here, is that let's say I have like a ceramic mug and a plastic cup, right? So let's say if I drop both cups, the ceramic mug is more likely going to shatter or like chip because it is harder than the plastic cup. Whereas a plastic cup, will fall to the ground. It will typically bounce and kind of absorb the force a little bit better, so that it will not damage the cup as much as like the ceramic cup. So that's, what I'm talking about. With Maxamet, it has a very, very, very high hardness, like I mentioned, but the trade-off is that it's gonna be relatively not as tough as other blade steels. And so to kind of bring in an illustration, I took this off of Blade HQ. This is a chart of the CPM S35VN, and as you can see, there's these are the four factors that I've talked about. You see edge retention, ease of sharpening, corrosion resistance, and toughness. And you can see it's relatively a very balanced, all-around, all-purpose steel. It doesn't excel in any particular factor in any way particularly. It's just a really good, well-rounded steel for just the everyday user. It's fairly easy to sharpen, it holds a fairly good edge, it's fairly tough, and it's fairly corrosion resistant, right? Compare that to Maxamet. I couldn't find a chart for Maxamet, so I had to draw one myself. It is not scientifically led, but based on what we're talking about and like the kind of the steel properties of Maxamet, this is what I came up with. So as you can see, this is more of like an arrowhead shape. So it has, like I said, it has amazing edge retention. It's not that easy to sharpen based on the steel profile. Is not very corrosion resistant and is not as tough, right? So you could see as the illustration, compare that to the S35VN. So that's kind of what it looks like. So you might be wondering like, oh, then like why would I want to deal with Maxamet? It's like it's not like a great all-purpose steel. And you know what, I would say, like, if you're just getting into this knife hobby, or you just want like just a good all-around blade steel, yeah, you don't need Maxamet. You could go with S35VN or S30V or 1095. You know what I'm saying? They're typically less expensive, more affordable, will hold a good edge, and will get the job done. You know what I'm saying? But for those of us that, kind of been in this knife hobby for a while, or you just want something really exotic, this might be the blade steel for you. So, if I could sum it up, like, Maxamet, like, it stays sharp for a very, 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 very long time. I have a lot of pocket knives in a lot of different steels. I have things in M390, 20CV, S35VN, S30VN, 1095. I've handled all sorts of different blade steels, and I could say by far Maxamet has held an edge sharper and longer by leaps and bounds. I've had this knife for like about 6 months, and it's held the same edge the whole time, and I've cut a lot of materials with this, a lot of different materials. I've broken down cardboard boxes, I opened letters, mail, I've cut through plastic bottles, I've done food prep with it. I've prepared my coffee with it, and so it's seen a lot of different materials, and it's held a razor sharp edge up to this point. I haven't had to sharpen it one time. Actually, let me take that back. I did sharpen it once, but it was because I was cutting through like a cardboard box, and it hit like one of those like factory heavy duty metal staples. So it did kind of roll the edge just a hair. I mean, it was barely noticeable. And so I took it to my Spyderco sharp maker and I sharpened it up, and it went back to razor sharp. And that kind of speaks to sharpenability. You know, I was really hesitant to getting Maxamet because of what I've read and what I've heard, and how they said is really, it's because it's such a hard steel that it'd be difficult to sharpen. But in my experience, it hasn't been that hard. You know, I don't know what your experience is, but like I said, you know, I took it to my sharp maker and it went back to, you know, hair popping sharpness, you know, in no time. So, yeah, like I would imagine it'd be harder to sharpen if I let this knife dull like really badly, but I'm not the type of, you know, person to like dull a knife. You know, I'll always make sure that it's sharp and it's ready to go. So, yeah, like if that's like your one thing that's like preventing you from trying Maxamet, I say like don't worry about it. Like, you know, if you take care of your knife, like I don't think it'd be that difficult to sharpen. So then I think the question is Maxamet right for you? You know, is this something that you should spend your hard-earned money on? Is it gonna be a good fit for the types of uses that you're using? So in my experience, I feel like Maxamet is great for people who tend to slice and cut into material, you know? And I feel like 99% of us users are doing that. You know, we're cutting through stuff. You know, we're not typically hacking or prying into things, you know what I'm saying? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know people do that. But I feel like if 99% of the time you're just slicing through stuff, man, Maxamet is an overkill. It will handle that job, I mean, with supreme awesomeness. You know what I'm saying? But if you require a lot of hacking, or you're prying open paint can lids and stuff like that, then maybe Maxamet ain't the best steel for you, because like I said before, even though it's a really hard steel, because it is more brittle, it will more likely chip and break if you pry or hack with Maxamet. Next thing, I feel like Maxamet is a great steel for people who don't want to sharpen their knives often. Like I said, I've had this knife for about 6 months, and I have not had to I didn't sharpen this knife one time, and it still pretty much does an S curve on paper, you know, on regular printer paper. I could still do like, you know, very fine cuts. I could do like curve cuts, and it slices through it like a laser. And so, yeah, if you're the kind of person you just don't want to sharpen your knives all that often, man, Maxamet is a great steel for you. Moving on, I feel like a Maxamet's great for people who like patinas. You know, as you can see here, if I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, you know, my steel has a great patina on it. You know, like I said, this is not very corrosion resistant. So let's say you live in an environment where it's very like muggy, very wet, you know, very salty. You know, if you're like a fisherman, maybe Maxamet ain't going to be the best steel for you, because you're gonna have to make sure that, you know, you're taking care of it constantly, because it is, you know, pretty prone to rust and patina. But like if you're like me, where you wipe, you know, down your blade after use and stuff like that, you know, you're just gonna get a nice patina. I feel like it gives the blade a lot of character and personality. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is a patina monster. I feel like Maxamet's also great for people who like to clean their knives often, like I said. And then lastly, I feel like this Maxamet's just great for people who just want a very unique or cool steel. You know, I've been in the knife hobby for over 10 years, so you know, when a company or a knife maker comes out with a new steel, or maybe not a new steel, but just a steel that's not very common, you know, that really perks my interest. So You know, Spyderco, they're really known, you know, for experimenting with different steels, and I'm really glad they brought this to the market because yeah, Maxamet has been a tremendous joy to use and to carry. I love Maxamet, you know. um, yeah, so my you know, pretty much my conclusion is that if you are looking for a unique steel that holds an edge for a really long time, and you don't want to sharpen knives often, and you like a good patina, this is the knife for you. This steel is the steel for you. I feel like you'll really enjoy it. I feel like it'll serve you very well. I feel like if you're the type of user that likes to cut through material, slice through things, Maxamet is a amazing steel for that. So yeah, so that's pretty much my conclusion. I say go for it. If the whole like hardness and sharpenability thing scares you, I say do not be afraid of that. You know, I feel like if you regularly maintain your knife, if you have like a Spyderco sharp maker, I feel like you'll be able to sharpen your knife as long as you don't dull it to the point where it's like ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, with that being said, I hope this you know, my experience was useful to you, and you know, yeah, go out there and try it out. You know, have fun. With that being said, you know, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for watching. You know, if you do have any questions or comments, you know, leave it down below. I know I'd love to hear your thoughts and your experience on Maxamet, and if you know you are a fan of it or not. So yeah, anyway, you guys have a great day. Bye.